Subject matter of the video I want to attempt today is fitting a SKS stock to an SKS rifle. Now there are two types of actions predominantly in the Chinese SKSs that exist, and that is a short lug milled, which is or short lug screwed in barrel, which is what you see present on this one. I don't give a shit if you see my serial numbers. It's much like an FAL in the sense that, that the barrel has two wrench flats on either side, and then it is timed in by twisting it and screwing it into the action. Now the later guns, like you'll see with this SKS-M and this other paratrooper, is that they have a pressed and pinned in barrel. And that's much like an AK. And to be honest, it's a much better way to do it. So there'll be an internal diameter here, and the barrel will have be pressed in much like an AK barrel, and then pinned through the receiver, which is just a simpler manufacturing method and reduces a lot of extra machining steps. Because like after they time these barrels in, they mill the wrench flats on either side, and then they press and stake the locking shoulder in for the bolt to headspace off of. Now, the issue you're running into, or at least what I've run into, and I'm not sure if this is the case because I looked into it for a little bit, and also being the case with combat guns or military surplus rifles, nothing's a drop fit. As you see, this gun is a short lug milled, and I need this gun to fit in this stock because I do not want to buy an SKS stock off eBay because they're very expensive. Guns are about $400 now. Their stocks are about $60, so you do the math on that. And I have this one on hand, so I know the one method of you grind down the recoil lug, which is what you shouldn't do. And then the next method is you shorten the front of the stock and then the rear of the stock so the gun can drop in and sit on the recoil lug appropriately. Now, what I've done so far is you see the tape measure sitting out here, and again I've been researching this for a few weeks now. That action will drop into that stock with no issue. I have not tried it in that stock, and I don't know if it'll fit in the M stock at all, even though they're the same action. Well, I don't know if it will because it has the M has the lug for the fixed magazine cutoff. So let me get this gun out of the stock and see if that gun will drop in there and if that gun will drop in there. And we'll test it, but I'll also measure these for you. So, obviously, this is the my scope paratrooper. It doesn't really fit in there that well, and I think it's mainly just because I have this bracket on there. So I'm going to drop the SKS-M in here, and then just to show you, this milled component gun does not want to sit in there either. And I think it's again sitting in the recoil lug. So I'm not sure if it's just the stock specifically or what. Well, that's the recoil lug in there. I mean, you can see it's sitting high. So what I'm worried about, as you can see where the back of the receiver is, I'm worried about if I have to take it down enough to come back, it'll hang over this and just look like shit. But how much worse is it going to look sitting in a ramline stock versus sitting in a modified stock? So, I guess I'll just go ahead and modify it. Just go ahead and modify this and see if I can get it to fit. So bear with me. Alright, let's get this gun broken down and measured. We're just going to leave the bayonet on there for now, for dramatic effect. But, oh, can you see my feet? Oh, I'm sorry if you did, it's gross. What we're going to measure is going to measure from the inside of the handguard retainer, front stock ferrule, whatever you want to call it, to the front of the recoil lug. And this will tell us the dimension that we need to make the front of this to the rear of this. Now, if this is too long, obviously I'll have to cut down the nose of this, and whatever dimension I remove from here, I'm going to have to remove in this rear slot where the, I don't know the proper name for this, the spring on my thing, the spring lock tang for the receiver. I'll also have to remove that in the wrist of the stock to get it to fit appropriately. So there's a lot of Cosmo in there. Look at that. Get that measured, and I know because I measured it once before in metric. It's 21.7 centimeters. The rear of that ferrule, or excuse me, rear of that recoil lug. So pushing the tape measure to the front of the stock, got 21, 5, 6, 7, almost looks like 21.8 centimeters. And then from the, that'll be okay. I'm going to measure it from the front, just so I don't have to account for the radius on this and then the tape measure pulling back. So I'm going to measure from the front of this handguard to the face of the recoil lug. And it's actually 21.56, 21.6. So 21 centimeters, 6 millimeters. So, get a difference of a few millimeters. So let's pen and paper this. There we go with our quick math. We got the stock at 21.8 centimeters and the gun at 21.5 centimeters, with the difference being 3 millimeters. So what I'm going to have to do is take this nose section of the stock down. This camera frame is super well, by the way, compared to my other one. Take this front of the stock down 3 millimeters, which is the majority of this handguard relief by the looks of it. Hundredths. There we go. This is a scale. This is not a ruler. Got about 5 millimeters there on the scale. So yeah, about half. Bottom about the same. Yeah, it's more consistent than I expected. So we're going to take half of this off, and for that I'm just going to use a rasp, because I got to take a lot of material off. I got to take another 3 off of here to account for the difference, and then I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to take out material through here, because I think my rasp is going to be a little bit too wide. I may be able to stick a hand file in there and go slow, but I can't get a Dremel on any of this. I'm not going to Dremel this either. It's just not worth it. A hand rasp will take it off with more than enough efficiency. So let me go grab those tools. Alright, and gonna get to it. So where would we be working on in combat gun? Squatting on a rug, filing away at something. Progress so far. Said fuck it, obviously. Broke out the Dremel. Saved myself a shit ton of time. Relieve some material right here in the back where the tang of the receiver goes. And I'm going to straighten that up. Then what I did is I took my calipers, set 2 millimeters on the jaws, locked them, and scribed it all the way around the perimeter of this nose, which I don't think you can really see that. There you go. You see the line. Scribed around the perimeter of the nose, and then I'm going to file it down to there so the action can move all the way back. And I think I have like 2 millimeters taken off in here, and I have 2 taken off here. So I just move this down another 2. So we're going to see where we are with that. Alright, as you can see, I have just a little Just a little bit of gap right there, and a little bit more gap here. And I think it's because I have to move this down some more. So we're going to do that. Alright, so the action doesn't seat yet, but everything butts up like it's supposed to. This is flush with the inside of the handguard retainer. This tang, again, sits flush with the back of the stock. That's because this can sit in any really position, and then that will set how the tang sits in the stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another millimeter off of this, and again, set my calipers to 1 millimeter. How much is 1 millimeter? 1 millimeter is 0.0393, or 40,000ths of an inch, or I think a 32nd. That's what I was worried about. That looks like garbage, but at least it's in a wood stock. Let me see. Okay, that looks, see if we can get that trigger dropped in there. Cool. I wonder if you can hear my neighbors. They are very fucking loud. I'm sorry about that. So as you can see, there's a camera on that side. As you can see with the mag catch, or the trigger assembly dropped in, that is the rear end of the inlet, and that's where we are currently. So I'm just going to scribe that with something sharp and pokey, and then I'm just going to Dremel it. There's no real reason to hand file it dremeling. Just going to get it done like that, and it's just clearance. So. Okay, we should be done. There's the radius. Blew it out a little bit right there, but we're gonna see. All right, there we go. So I pushed back the nose of the stock, this ledge, I pushed that back, and I pushed everything down, I think almost 6 millimeters total. So I pushed this down, I think 4 or 5, like I said, 6, maybe 6 total, so about a 1/4 inch. I had to modify right in here where the front legs of the receiver sit, which is where the trigger guard hooks into. Those have to be angled for clearance. I kind of just angled them a little bit with the Dremel. I probably need to clean them up better. I modified right here where the spring thing or spring lock of the stock goes. I pushed that back and down, and then I modified back here where the trigger guard sits in as well. And then there's 2 radii up here in the back of the stock near the wrist that I Dremeled back as well to get it to seat 100% in the stock. I might have to modify some of this stuff just a little bit because it's not clicking together exactly like I want it to, but everything sits, everything fits, and it's all good. But that's the quick and dirty of how to do it.